Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alex King on this Tuesday, September the 10th, 2019. Remember that date. It's going to come up importantly in just a moment or so. It is currently 4 p.m. in New York. That would be 1 p.m. Los Angeles time, 9 p.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Tokyo, 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. And wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're going to get the happiness started off right away with Palindrome Week, which Alex pointed out to me is this week, and I said, what are you talking about? Well, I did. Well, not in so many words, but that's what it amounted to. What are you talking about?
You were like, it's only a day. What do you mean?
Yeah. Apparently it's a week. So
it's a whole week.
You explain it, because you explained it better than I was thinking about it. So why don't you explain it, even to our listeners? Remember, we have people who are listening who don't see the video.
Okay.
See, that makes it more challenging.
Okay. Okay.
You can take advantage of the camera to talk to people who are watching the video, but you also have to be mindful of the people who are listening to the podcast.
That just brings me to the fact that why aren't you watching us on YouTube? You should be subscribed, and you should be hitting that little silver bell that tells you when we're always live. So that's your fault that you don't know what Palindrome Week is. Just saying.
Okay, so we're going to start progressively.
I'm coming in hot. So,
oh my goodness.
So Palindrome Week is basically, well, if you know what a palindrome is, it's the same thing forward that it is backwards.
Usually
so like
a
mom,
word, but
yeah, usually like mom or wow or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this week is Palindrome Week because the numbers of the date, well, it depends on what part of the country you're in, because some people put the day before the month. Anyways, beside the point. In the U.S., we write month, day, year. Mm-hmm. So if you write it month, day, year, today is 9/10/19, and then backwards it's 9/10/19,
mm-hmm.
And it's going to be like that all week.
Now, of course, there are computer programmers around the country who are cringing because they know that it's always 09, but nevertheless, we'll let them just go off and cook for a little bit, because if you use it as 09, it ruins the whole effect.
Well, if you starting your day off with zeros, that's your problem.
So with that happy thought in mind, actually, we do have one little sad thought. The happy thought is that we are now switching Tuesday and all the days to 4 p.m., and Alex is continuing to be my co-host on Tuesdays. The one sad thought is that Bill can't do Tuesday afternoons anymore, so we'll have to, for now, say goodbye to Bill. But thank you, Bill, for being a part of the show for many, many months. You were with us, and we look forward to the day when you are able to join us again. But in the meantime, we get to have more of the purple hair. So, I mean, a lot of purple hair. The only thing lacking is that the ears, people who are listening to the podcast are saying, what are we talking about? Well, when Alex does the show, she always has various color themes going on in the background, including with her hair. And this week her hair is like a bluish purple rainbow effect kind of going down the hair.
It's called mermaid hair.
Mermaid hair, okay.
Yes.
So there it is. And she has her ears on. Her headphones have little ears, but the only thing that's missing is that the batteries are kind of worn out. So she's got to get new batteries, and they aren't flashing like they normally do. But other than that, we have the full purple-blue look today.
Yes, we do.
Which is yet another way just to feel good about who you are and what you're doing in life, and
exactly
going through your day, right?
I feel like I need to manifest a unicorn headset with a unicorn with a horn glows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm feeling now.
So the gauntlet has been tossed down for the universe to deliver.
I challenge you, Five Below.
Or anyone else who wants to deliver it.
Anyone else.
Oh, Jeffrey says that our presentation at the beginning there was palindromatic. So there you go. Thank you for that piece of it.
That joke of the day brought to you by Jeffrey. Thank you.
Jeffrey, this is what you have when you have a loyal listener who comes in to watch all the live streams. I mean, Jeffrey's here for every live stream, especially now that we're doing them all in the afternoon, because he's on the West Coast here in the U.S., and so he can be, awake for that hour, which is kind of a problem for people, say, in Tokyo and Sydney. And if you're listening to us in Tokyo and Sydney, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Best friend Jen, who lives in Tokyo, is appreciating the fact that we moved to the afternoons, because now while she's getting ready for work, she can listen to us.
Very good. And I got a chance to meet Jen, so that was great.
Yes.
Hello, Jen. Nice to have
Hey,
you on board.
Jen!
That's absolutely fab. So, yeah, good stuff. And along the lines of manifesting, which of course is a key portion of what we talk about here on LOA Today, you decided that that was going to be the topic, manifesting,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But was that motivated by anything in particular, or just, manifesting in general is a good idea?
Just in general, but I also want to touch on the topic that we don't just manifest good things, we also manifest bad things too. So.
Well, it's the good and bad part. It's an interesting point, but the good and bad part.
Okay, hold on. Let me correct myself.
No, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. I was going to say what we prefer, what we don't prefer.
Well, I think that's a much more useful thing. I agree. But there's nothing wrong with saying good or bad.
Yeah.
But what's important to remember is that those are our moral judgments we're applying to it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
That's part of the perspective,
Yes.
So if you choose to decide that, a particular manifestation is bad, just recognize you're choosing that.
That's fact.
It's not happening to you.
Right.
That's the difference.
That's the whole point of manifestation.
So if you're okay with, manifesting something that you consider to be bad and thinking about it as being bad, then, more power to you. Go for it. Personally, I don't really like to think that way, but, it's up to you,
Yeah.
So manifestations, yeah. So the topic is, what have we manifested lately?
Yes, what have we manifested lately?
Well, I guess the smart-ass answer is everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because we manifest, and it's a good reminder that literally everything that's in our lives we manifested.
Mm-hmm.
Also a very annoying reminder, but we won't go there. Well, you can't get away with anything. It's just everything happened that you attracted.
Yeah, it's because of you.
Oh, well. But seriously, in all seriousness, it's a great reminder because that, for me anyway, I'll speak for myself. I won't say that this is generically true for everybody. Mm-hmm. But for me, I love reminding myself of the fact that I manifest everything for a couple of reasons. First, it reminds me just how powerful I really am. Mm-hmm. Very often I can be going through my day and just not feeling powerful, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff I don't like, or, things aren't quite manifesting the way I'm hoping they will, or whatever. And so I start to kind of tear myself down a little bit, kind of start to doubt or to not feel good or whatever. And when I remind myself, well, I'm manifesting that too. Yeah, there's a painful side of that, but on the other hand, it's empowering. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what Louis D'Souza and I talked about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He brought up the fact that he had a conversation. He has lots of conversations with people about LOA. He's probably the best man in the street where law of attraction is concerned.
Okay.
And he had a conversation with someone who is a social worker in Great Britain. Ooh. And the social worker works with kids who have been abused or are caught up in the system along that line. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, that was her main thought process. Okay, you're blaming the victim here. It's the old blame. And in fact, most of what he relayed that she had talked about was all the different people who are involved in the wide panoply of things who are to blame for various aspects of what's happening to these kids. Mm-hmm. Which is one perspective. That's a perspective that actually a lot of people have. But then we also reminded ourselves and remembered a story that Joel Elson has told us about a kid who came to him. Joel, of course, gets lots of usually men coming to him, young men, boys coming to him who are being sent by parents or therapists or psychiatrists or whatever who just can't seem to get anywhere. He's like the coach of last resort. And so coach
of last resort. I like it.
They send them to him because they don't know what else to do. Yeah. And, this was one of those kids who came to him. This kid, the poor kid had been through the system in every way possible. His mother had been arrested for drugs and died in prison. His father was practically non-existent in his life.
Yeah.
Bounced around from one foster home to the next. Mm-hmm. Was in trouble at school. He was in trouble at home. Mm-hmm. It was just like one really bad thing after another.
Right.
And on top of that, when he asked the kid what, to tell him about himself, I mean, this is like an introduction meeting, I want to find out more about you. He says, so, tell me about yourself. The kid started listing all the medications he was on. He says, well,
wow.
And the conditions that he has. Well, I'm oppositionally defiant and I'm depressed. And he started listing all these clinical conditions and identifying he was on a dozen different medications. Mm-hmm. It was practically a horror story in itself. Joel says, no, I mean, what do you like? What are your interests in life? Not what are you addicted to? Not what have you on? Who are you? That's what I'm trying to find out, you know?
Right.
So they have this conversation, and it's becoming very clear this kid is all wrapped up in what the various people who have tried to help him in his life have him cornered into doing. You know, they have him taking the medications. They have him believing that he has all these different issues and so forth. And plus he still has his mother who died in prison and he's alone and all that kind of thing. This was a 9-year-old at the time. This is not, this is a rough life for a kid. Well, Joel, in his usual inimitable way, he ends up explaining the law of attraction to the kid. Explaining to him what that social worker would not have wanted him to explain, which was not all this to himself. In the social worker's eyes, that's blaming the kid.
I mean, I can see kind of a point to that, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's because I know how law of attraction works, so I'm not riding with the social worker.
I hear you. Yeah. But nevertheless, there are a lot of people within LOA circles who feel that way, who feel very strongly about that. There are groups on Facebook that will ban you if you violate their policy about blaming victims. I mean, literally. Yeah. I mean, that really is true. So it is a very prevalent viewpoint. So Joel was basically doing the one thing that viewpoint says you don't do. You don't tell the person who is the victim that they attracted all this stuff. But Joel did that anyway because he's Joel.
He's Joel.
And a very interesting thing happened. The kid ate it up. Yeah.
Because kids are absorbent.
They certainly are. And this kid was in fact, this kid was an exceptional version of absorbing it because he absorbed it to the point where he got it instantly.
Wow.
And he started asking questions about the medications he was on. In fact, Joel asked him to go through the medications one by one. I think the first one I don't remember what the first one was that came up. It was, I don't know. It was probably, what's the one for ADHD? I can't think of what that one's called.
Adderall.
Okay, well, that's one of them. There's a variety of them, but that's not the name I had in mind. But yes, okay, so Adderall. Okay. Well, why are you on that one? Well, because I have trouble paying attention. Okay. Does it actually help you maintain better attention? Well, kind of, sort of. What else are you on? And what's the one for being depressed? There's one really major.
Which one?
There's like one. It's the one that everybody gets prescribed on. I can't go.
Xanax?
Could have been Xanax. That was not the one that came to mind. But it doesn't matter. The point is, he goes through the list with them, right? As well, the one that you got depressed for, that you were getting for depression, is it helping the depression? The kid says no. And he says, well, why do you think that is? He says, well, because my mother died after being sent to prison.
Yeah.
And he says, so the drug doesn't help with that. No. You know, and then the kid utters an expletive and says, well, what the bleep do you expect? You know, how am I supposed to feel if my mom went to prison?
Facts.
And Joel says, well, I agree with you. And the kid is like blown away by the fact that Joel is not behaving the way everybody else who's an authoritarian, you know, who's in a place of authority trying to help this kid behaves. He's actually telling him the truth. He's being honest with him, you know. Ultimately, what comes out of it is the kid decides that he doesn't need the drugs anymore.
Okay.
And he asks Joel, can you help me get off the drugs? And Joel says, okay. And he says, I have an appointment to see my psychiatrist. Will you go with me to see my psychiatrist? Joel says, sure. So he meets the kid on the day of the kid's appointment with the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist is looking at Joel and saying to himself, what are you doing here? You should not.
Right.
But he asks the kid about that in a very gentle way. And the kid says, well, he's here because I asked him to be here. And then the kid proceeds, after having done all this research on Google and so forth, about all the drugs that he's on, to ask the psychiatrist why he had prescribed all these drugs and had he done his research to find out what the interactions were between them. And he's like hammering the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist,
that reminds me, I got to call my pharmacy today.
And he keeps looking over at Joel saying, who are you and what role are you playing in this? You know, like you said.
Yeah, why are you cutting into my check? What's going on?
Long story short, the kid ends up firing the psychiatrist, a 9-year-old fired the psychiatrist with Joel's help. He ended up going to his teacher at school and apologizing to his teacher at school for his past behavior, promising he was going to change his behavior at school and that he was going to improve his terrible grades, which he ended up doing.
Aww.
Goes to his foster mom, who's ultimately the one who sent him to Joel in the first place, and apologizes to his foster mom for all the trouble he's been giving her and promises her he's going to start changing his behavior at home as well, which he ends up doing instantly. He changes his entire life all in one day, all because Joel told him that he was empowered but to completely control his life because he controlled it.
Wow.
He attracted all this stuff into his life, and he could just as easily attract what he really wants into his life.
Right.
And to this day, the kid has made an amazing 180-degree turnaround. Okay.
Thank you for saying 180 and not 360. People get that wrong all the time.
No, like you said, I'm good at math.
Yeah,
so I don't have trouble with that one. No, 180 is the opposite direction.
Right.
It's the same.
Yeah, I changed my life. I did a whole 360. What? So you're right back where you started?
Are you dizzy yet?
Clockwise or counterclockwise? What happened?
It doesn't matter. Although there are some math majors who will say, yes, it does matter because it's negative if it's in the opposite direction.
Good gravy.
But that's really beside the point. The point is, here's the story of a kid who was told the one thing that you're not supposed to tell a victim, and it empowered him.
Yeah.
I think it's a really vitally important point that what one person calls victimization, another person calls empowerment. It depends on perspective.
Yes.
It's your perspective. And everybody's perspective is going to be different. So it's not like this is a broad rule of thumb that applies to everyone. No rule of thumb applies to everyone.
Facts.
Everyone's perspective is going to be different. And I think we need to keep that in mind, including for ourselves. So getting back to the original question, what did we manifest this week? Well, we manifested all of it, but what does our perspective say? Our perspective is what drives the whole answer. So if we don't understand the law of attraction, we're going to give one answer. If we do understand it to some degree, we're going to give a different answer. If we feel like we're a total guru, we're going to give a different answer still. And if we just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, we're going to give a completely different answer.
Yep, that's a fact. That was me this morning.
So
I was like, nope.
I think part of the answer is what's your perspective. No matter what answer you come up with, it's got to be, here's my answer in terms of my current perspective.
Right.
Right?
I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep in mind. So. What did I manifest? I manifested a lot of things. I mean, daily, hourly, minute by minute.
Right now. You're manifesting words.
I'm manifesting words. So some of them are just coming to me. Yeah? You think I'm kidding?
No, I don't think you're kidding. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
Oh, yes. Somebody posted it. Seventh Heaven, Ritalin and Prozac. Those are the two I was trying to think of.
Ritalin and Prozac, yes.
That's what they were. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, you nailed it.
Thank you, live streamer.
Very, very good. I like that. So, yeah, this stuff is worth exploring every single minute of the day. In fact, I've been making it a practice lately to try to remind myself during my, I won't call them downtimes because they don't last long enough to call them downtimes, but my interims between task X and task Y, the things that I'm doing throughout the day. I try to remind myself during my interims to find ways to appreciate what's happening.
Yeah.
Louis says it really well. He says, I don't really care whether it's something I like or something I don't like. I want to appreciate it.
Interesting.
And it's not easy to do, especially the stuff that we don't like. You know, it's not easy to appreciate it. In fact, it's not something that Abraham recommends. Most gurus don't recommend it, particularly if you're kind of a beginner at all this stuff. It's fairly advanced stuff to say, I'm going to appreciate what it is that I don't like. But nevertheless, it is, if you can get to the point where you can try to do that, I find that it's empowering too. Because I have to like it in order to appreciate it. Right. You know, so I may not like the fact that there was a little rain earlier today when I was taking my walk. But I did, I mean, this is a really minor event, I grant you.
I'm just saying, Mr. Control the Weather, what happened?
Well, actually, I hadn't paid any attention to the weather up to that point.
Ah, there it is.
So I started paying attention to that was literally my point. I took advantage of this as an opportunity to say, oh, well, okay, here's an opportunity to refocus my attention and to start appreciating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I didn't really want to appreciate the rain itself, but I did want to appreciate the fact, well, I could have done that. That could have been a choice. I could have appreciated the rain because we're in the gardening business. Rain is good for gardens. So I could have gone that way if I really wanted to. But at that moment, I didn't want to go that way. The way I wanted to go was I'm taking my daily walk. I want this to be a rain-free walk. Mm-hmm. So I did my little thing of focusing on blue skies and nice comfortable temperatures and gentle breezes and all that kind of stuff. And within seconds, the rain stopped.
Oh.
I mean, we're talking a maximum of 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my point. Every time I have a little bit of downtime, I'm practicing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm practicing changing my perspective. I'm practicing shifting how I'm feeling about something. I'm practicing reimagining, getting into that feeling of the thing, and making it my daily practice. So what have I manifested? I've been manifesting opportunities to practice.
Ooh, good one. He came prepared with notes, people.
So your serve.
My serve. Let's see. Well, I manifested my strep throat coming back.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around. I'm trying to wrap my head around the appreciation of this.
You don't have to appreciate having strep throat if you don't want to.
No, not having strep throat, but the fact that I manifested it. I'll come back to that. And then, what else? I also manifested a argument with a dear friend of mine, which could possibly be friendship ending.
Wow.
Yeah. But at the same time, the way I want to appreciate that is that I took notice of the fact that I am strong enough to realize when something's not working for me and something is toxic for me, no matter how many years we've been friends, I run with scissors and I will cut you off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not easy to do.
No, it's not. But that's my thing. I don't have time. I don't have time for the bull. So let's see what else. I'm trying to think of something good I manifested this week. Oh, I manifested myself a karate class.
A karate class?
Yes.
No kidding.
Going back to karate, yes.
So now we have karate experts on Tuesday and Friday because Linda's she's a black belt. She's like a third degree black belt.
I'm halfway there. I'm like, well, I mean, it's been on and off for the last 20 years, but yeah, I'm halfway to my black belt. Hopefully with this new class, I won't have to start from scratch. The sensei said, I'll see where you're at, but you won't have to start from white belt. So I was like, oh, thank God. This is a long road. But yeah, well, one of my life goals is to get my black belt. So, that's what I manifested this week.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. The more important question is, how do you feel about it?
I am anxious about it, but in a good way. Like, I'm excited to get started and, work on my goal.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, well, what you're describing is the process that we all go through of deciding what I want next based on what has happened now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, so often we have events that happen and we experience what we call the contrast. Here's the part I like, here's the part I don't like. And when we're presented with the contrast, all of a sudden we get that new, what Abraham calls that new rocket of desire. Mm-hmm. That's what you just described there. You described having attracted and brought it to you, this thing that you, in this case, liked, and in the previous two cases that you didn't like. Mm-hmm. And didn't matter which one it was, both of them sprouted a new rocket of desire.
Yes.
And that's cool. That's life.
That is life.
That's what it's all about. So you're on the manifestation. What is it? It's not a merry-go-round. It's a road.
Is it a road? Or is it a river?
Okay. That's fluid.
It's not a train just yet. Working on it. But
Well, here's an interesting question for you. What makes it a train?
you know what? I feel like if it was a train, our brains would be fried because we'd be sitting here every single millisecond of the day going, all right, what am I manifesting now? What am I manifesting now? What am I manifesting now? Am I manifesting myself breathing? No, something else takes care of that. Okay, so I can do something else. Like, our brains would be fried. So something has to be on autopilot.
Well, I think that is what happens. We do end up on autopilot.
Yeah.
See, what we're talking about here in some sense is the reprogramming of our subconscious minds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because as we reprogram and get the program going the way we want it to go,
then
it actually becomes easier.
Right.
Depending on how you're willing to look at it. You can look at it like it's harder if you want to, but you can also look at the whole thing like it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
You got a program now, so you're basically on autopilot. It's just your perspective. You get to pick. It's up to you.
That's true.
There's no right or wrong answer here.
I'm trying to spell subconscious.
Doing hashtags.
Yes. If it looks like I'm not paying attention to people, it's because I'm doing secondary work. I'm a multitasker.
By the way, I'm looking at some of the conversation that's going on in the background, and they're talking about bringing somebody in who's one of our regular listeners and what they've been doing to do that. But if you guys have anything specific you want to contribute to what we're talking about, I'll be glad to include it in the conversation. That's why I keep looking at the live stream just to see what's going on there.
Yes, we're both multitasking.
We aren't. We're very good at that. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So, okay, back to the topic of manifesting. We are constantly manifesting. We've come to that agreement, okay? Mm-hmm. Which is a big step for a lot of people. That just even coming to that conclusion, that's a lot to admit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even as I acknowledge that every day, this is what I find. I find that it's mind-boggling. It's simple.
Mind-boggling simple?
It's mind-boggling. Literally, everything that I encounter, I am manifesting.
Right.
My phone, okay? Now, I've had this phone day after day.
Yeah.
I'm still manifesting it every single day.
That's true. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist.
Exactly. And that's the mind-boggling part.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason this continues to be a phone is because I continue to manifest it, because I continue to believe it's a phone. I continue to act like it's a phone. I continue to think of it as a phone. That's mind-blowing.
On a side note, that's not really a side note. The Matrix 4 has gone into production. Just saying.
Oh, do we have any spoilers about it?
Keanu Reeves is coming back, and so is Jada Pinkett Smith.
Ah, okay. Well, we have a little bit there. Not really as spoilers, but...
well, they are, because, I mean, they're getting up... Well, casting information is spoilers in my book.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. Well...
Because they could have gone with a whole new cast and just the same theme.
Now, that would be a spoiler.
That would be the whole Marvel-Sony situation that we have going on right now.
That would literally spoil it for everybody.
Yeah, literally. It's like, I'm not going to see this.
Oh, jeez. Just looking again at some of the conversation. Ooh. Jeffrey says he's had his fun job where I just got a promotion.
Good for you, Jeffrey.
He manifested a promotion. That's fabulous.
Nice. I did too. It wasn't this week, but yes, I did too.
All right.
I told Walt from the beginning that I was going to be writing this show, and he finally gave in and was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. That's the other thing. We are part of other people's manifestations.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I didn't see how it was coming. I just said, no, I'm going to be the next Shonda Rhimes, and this is how it's going to start, and this is how it's happening. I even listened to her book.
Did you really?
I did. I didn't realize she wrote a book, and then I saw her on Oprah. She wrote a book called The Year of Yes. Mm-hmm. And because she was an introvert like me, and even though she's busy writing, because she's like the queen of ABC, like she has like 4 shows going at once. Mm-hmm. So she was busy doing all that and raising her kids and all that. And her sister said something to her at Thanksgiving because her family's very unimpressed with the fact that she's Shonda Rhimes, even though we're all really impressed. So
that's probably a good thing, actually.
Yeah, it keeps you grounded. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I'm about to meet with Oprah. Oh, the Obamas invited me to this. And her sister's like, Anne, you don't say yes to anything. And she was like, oh. And she just sat there and she was like, but I have kids to raise. I'm writing 4 shows and I'm busy. So she took it upon herself to decide that she's going to say yes to everything for a year. Now, I don't know if I'm going to go this far because that's a lot.
That is a lot.
But I did say yes to karate. So that's step 1 and that's twice a week. And that's step 1 in the direction. And so, yeah, I got a lot from her book. Like the fact that, because she writes 4 shows and they tape weekly, she has to have a new script every 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
that's just one show. So, yeah. So that being said, episode 3 is being written as we speak. Even though we haven't shot episode 2, that's okay. I'm on Shonda Rhimes time now.
I give you credit because you basically embraced what is a challenging schedule. Said, I'm going to do it. That's great.
Yeah. Because I don't want, if once we're done shooting episode 2 and then you guys are going to be like, well, when are we shooting episode 3? I'm like, well, it's not going to be Alex's fault. Tell you that right now. The episode is written. It's not my problem.
Not my problem. Oh, that's funny. That's good, though. That's really good. Because what you're talking about there is a really strong level of embracing what you're manifesting.
Ooh.
That's really what that is. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, the whole yes, I did have one question about the yes thing.
Yes.
I haven't asked the question yet.
I know.
Can I ask the question before you answer it?
Your question is, sir.
Wait a minute, I thought the answer was going to be yes. Okay, now hold on here. Can we get the ground rules straight here?
Continue.
No, seriously, the question that I have in my mind is, if the answer is always yes, do you have to mean it? In other words, can you say yes and not really mean yes?
Well, that's how she started off. She's saying yes, but she really didn't want to do it. Like she had really bad anxiety. Most of the stuff she was saying yes to was like Jimmy Kimmel, meeting the Obamas, which she ended up doing, having lunch with Beyonce, really big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was definitely a struggle at first. And then she just realized like halfway through the year, she's just like, it's not even a big deal anymore. I'm just yes to this, yes to that. As long as my schedule allows, yes.
So there is an exception then.
But she didn't really make it an exception though. She found a way to work around it.
So in other words, her schedule always allowed.
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm trying to imagine, like, there's got to be scenarios where people bring her, requests that really would not be enjoyable to do.
There was this one incident, but I think this was before the year of yes, because she said she was talking about, and I don't know how familiar you are, some of our listeners are Grey's Anatomy fans, but the character Christina Yang, who's played by Sandra Oh, was supposed to be played by somebody else who everyone in the casting room loved. They were like, oh, yeah, she's got to be the one. She's going to be and Shonda was just like, no, that's not Christina Yang. That's not who I want. But she was so shy. And she just went along with it at first. And then she just woke up one day and was like, no, this disturbs me. It bothers me. I don't want it. This is not the person. And so somebody on her team could sense that and said, this is your show. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. And that's pretty much how it began. So she was like, okay, well, I don't want her. Sorry. She's got to go.
Okay. So it's a selective yes then. I mean, she doesn't have to answer yes to everything. She's choosing to answer yes to everything that she could potentially have an interest in.
Yes. Because she was actually proposed to in the year of yes, and she said no.
Okay.
She was like, everything was going great, and then I realized I don't want to be married.
Okay.
So she's like, I like the way things are, and he was like, well, I don't, so bye.
So really then, this whole year of the yes isn't so much about saying yes to everything. It's about saying yes to everything that resonates, but that you might normally have run away from.
Right. Or yes.
Which is good. Yes, right. Just to carry on a theme.
Yeah, right?
But it's good. I like that actually better than what I originally thought it was. Because what that really is it's an exercise in always choosing what it is we prefer. And that is hard.
It is.
That takes a lot of practice because it's so easy to fall into, just by default, agreeing with that thing you don't really like all that much, but you've always done it and, you don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also made it a point to not tell anyone she was doing the year of yes. Just so you know, because she figured like people would take advantage. They'd be like, "Oh, Shonda's gonna say yes because it's the year of yes, so let's make her bake brownies and let's make her do this." Things she just So she internally said yes to what she could.
Well, now that we know that it was selective, I think she actually could have let herself off the hook.
She could have, and she did a couple of times, and she slipped up like when she wanted to start working out and eating better and all this type of stuff. And she pushed back as far as she could because she was so comfortable laying in bed and eating a pan of brownies that she was just like, yeah, I know, right? I was like, wow, that's talent.
I'm not sure I'd call it a talent, but okay.
Oh, she called it something specific. I think it was. I don't remember what it was, but it was.
I call it sugar shock myself, but that's
sugar shock is definitely something. But that was her MO, and then she realized that she couldn't.
And I say that from experience, by the way. Not brownies, chocolate chip cookies.
Oh.
Many years ago, in my early 20s, I decided to binge one day on an entire box of chocolate chip cookies.
Wow.
I'm sick as a dog afterward.
Oh no, that sucks when you get sick and then you ruin it for the rest of your life. You're like,
but it wasn't so much. I didn't throw up sick. It was just I was just in malaise in my mouth. You know that feeling in your mouth? You got too much sugar. It was, it ruined the entire day. It was awful.
Yeah. It's like, what did I do to myself?
What it really amounted to was I never wanted to do it again.
Well, it's like those
old school.
Yeah, it was like those old school parents. It was like, oh, you want to smoke cigarettes? Well, smoke this entire
whole pack, right?
You'll never want a cigarette again.
It's true.
Which I guess works.
I did the same thing with my niece, teaching her to never gamble. Because I'm a good poker player.
Ooh, I am horrible.
Well, if you ever want to, become totally turned off by poker, play poker with me, and I'll turn you off real fast.
But I'm already turned off by poker because it involves math.
So it's too late. Next. No, but seriously, not that I was really concerned she was going to become a gambler, but I was trying to teach her, stay within what you know, stay within what deep down feels good to you. Don't go after something just because somebody else says, "Oh, we should try to do it." Don't get sucked into somebody else's game. So
don't do the shiny thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked.
So how did you do it? Did you just play like a million games in a row until she kept losing?
Oh, it didn't take that many.
Wow.
I think we played like 10 hands.
Wow.
I cleaned her out in 10
forget
hands.
it, I quit.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. And I
can't even.
them.
Oh, wow.
But she hadn't figured that out because I was good at bluffing it. So I just took all her pennies away.
All her pennies.
You do
have a good poker face, I will admit.
Actually, I'm lucky because I never have to play in front of other people, so I don't have to guard my poker face. I usually
you play online?
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Well, actually, it's actually more fun because when you play online, you don't have to be limited to one table.
Right, that's true.
So I play 4 tables at a time.
Ooh, talented.
It's not that difficult.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, it really isn't all that difficult.
Well, when you're over here counting on your fingers, it's difficult.
I don't do counting on fingers.
That's what I'm saying. It's difficult for me.
You don't have to do math. You have to learn. You have to learn certain rules. When you learn certain rules, you don't have to do the math anymore. Okay. I mean, things like, well, you have to know some poker how the thing works in order to explain it. But I'll give you one. If you're thinking about if you have four of the same suit and you're thinking of trying to go for a flush, the likelihood that you're going to get that is pretty low. It's going to be like 1 out of 4 times. So I just remember 1 out of 4 times I'm going to get it right. The other 3 times I'm going to get it wrong. I don't have to do math for that.
Okay.
It's not math, So
it's just literally gambling.
Well, I don't gamble. I usually don't take that bet. The only time I'll take that bet is if, this is where math does come into it. I admit. Okay. Uh-huh. If the odds are 1 in 4, then I'm going to get a flush. Mm-hmm. But the odds are that if I win, I will increase my take by 16 times over. That's a good bet to keep taking over and over again. Because if I'm only going to get it wrong 3 out of 4 times, mm-hmm. that means out of 16 tries, I'll get it right 4 times. So 16 times. So 4 different times, I'll get 16 times my thing. I'll get a huge windfall out of that.
Okay.
Over time. It also means that I'll lose a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, I will have made more.
So if you have enough money to lose, there is a big jackpot waiting for you.
Yeah. But will I always do that? No.
You shouldn't.
It depends on if I'm playing, it depends on what's going on in the game. I mean, where are we at the game? Are we in the middle of a tournament? Are we at the beginning? Are we at the end? It's where we are,
Right.
And how much am I betting on it? Am I betting my entire stack? 1/10 of it, 1/2 of it? Those are all very different bets. It doesn't require a whole lot of math to know whether 1/10 of your stack is a safer bet than the whole stack.
Facts. I can do that math.
That's a fairly easy one. Now it's just, what do I want to risk?
Right.
By the way, this is all another aspect of manifestation.
I was just going to say that, actually.
It really is. Yeah. It's all perspective. Joel had posted something. What was it he posted? He posts a lot of stuff on Facebook. Really,
he does. I share some of his stuff.
Yeah, he has really good stuff. And I can't remember what this one thing was about. It had something to do with gambling or something like that. And anyway, he has a number of ex-clients and so forth who have gambling issues. He himself had a gambling issue. So it attracts people who are clients who have that same kind of issue.
Right.
And they were commenting on, this thing that he had posted on, I had this issue with poker and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying to myself, isn't that interesting? Because what they're talking about isn't so much what's wrong with poker or even what's wrong with their own behavior. It's about their perspective. Mm-hmm. That's really what they were writing about. They were writing about, here's my perspective of what it's like for me to play poker.
Right. And if they just change your perspective, you might be all right.
Well, that's true. What they chose instead was to stop playing poker.
I mean, to each their own.
Yeah. They're both valid choices.
Yeah.
They're both valid choices. And again, that's what manifesting is all about. We get to manifest something and decide what the next thing is we want to manifest. And then we have a choice about what we're going to do about it.
Exactly.
How we're going to feel about it. Mm-hmm. What are we going to think about it? How often are we going to think about it? How often are we going to feel about it?
Yeah.
The choices just are endless.
The choice is yours.
Who are you doing there? I gotta ask.
I don't know.
A different person just joined us on the show.
I feel like it was the Queen of Hearts in one of the Alice in Wonderlands.
Ah, okay.
The one where she had the giant head. That version. I don't know. That's just what came to me. I don't know if that's actually true.
Well, I'll tell you what came to Jeffrey. Jeffrey says if you want to flush, the bathroom is down the hall and to your right.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're killing me with the dad jokes today.
Well, you can't complain because you said you were bringing a dad joke to the show.
Okay, you ready? You ready for this?
Okay, here we go.
It's a millennial dad joke, so
okay.
Hold on to your horses. Okay. So millennials are known for buying odd number shirts and odd number pants. Do you know why that is?
No.
Because they can't even.
Oh, geez. Yeah? I was doing a dad joke, though. It sounds more like a millennial joke.
Well, it's a millennial dad joke. There are millennial dads.
Okay. That's true. Millennials have become dads and moms.
Millennials have kids now.
They do. Yeah. Watch out, world. Here they go.
All right.
That's where you get Generation Z people from.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
You're welcome.
Ooh, what's this?
I don't know. What is it?
Do Life on Purpose with Steve Rowell. Steve was, of course, a co-host here on the show
I remember.
Yeah, and that's his website. And I believe he also has a book by that title. I'm not sure why they're bringing
It should be a book.
Oh, it's because it is Steve Rowell. Oh, that's his screen name. Steve has joined us on the live stream. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hello there. I didn't recognize you through your screen name. It's their website name on their screen name. But that's good. I like that.
I mean, that's one way to remember it.
I'm not likely to forget it, actually. Especially when he puts 5 smiley faces in a row.
That's
actually,
the key. Put some emojis in there. There you go.
Now, Steve is actually an expert when it comes to manifestations.
Is he?
He truly is. Yeah.
Okay.
He has got it down pat, especially what we're talking about here, where you manifest something and it generates another desire and you turn that into manifestation. He's got
was Steve the one in the UK?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember his story.
Yeah. And he is. First of all, he is the best expensive car manifester I've ever heard of. I mean, he has had more expensive cars, more ritzy cars than anyone I've ever known.
Right.
I don't know how many there are. Steve, how many really great cars have you had? And now he doesn't have them for any great length of time. That's what's really interesting about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like
doesn't really want them long.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, he told me that I forget what the last one was, an Aston Martin. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, he had it for like 3 days and he was bored already.
Oh, okay.
But gave it back.
Yeah. This car drives too fast. I do not want it anymore.
There's no place to put the martini glass. But,
yes, seriously.
But Steve is, and he'll admit, it's actually become something of a game for him.
You know what? If I was doing that, it'd probably be a game for me too.
Mm-hmm. And it's a game that he can just put down whenever he wants. In fact, I don't even know when the last time was that he actually chose to manifest a car. He may have stopped playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally become that simple for him. He doesn't care.
Yeah, once it's too easy, it's like, I don't care.
I'm over that. Yeah. So he's on to the next thing. I haven't talked to Steve in a while. Steve, if you feel like coming on the show, tell us about what you're doing. We'd love to have you. But
yeah, manifest me a house while you're at it. Just
ooh.
Notice the key word in that sentence was me.
Yes. I did notice that part. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just in case other people didn't notice.
Yes. It came out fairly loud, actually.
Yeah.
So let's do this the proper way. Talk about the house that you want to attract.
You know what? To be all the way honest, I was totally bluffing. I am completely happy where I live now. I love everything about it. It's my bedroom is my safe space. As you can see, it's all purple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's down the street from the beach, literally 3 minutes. 6 minutes from the hospital. God forbid when things go wrong, as they do.
Interesting set of priorities here.
Well, yeah, my mother wanted someplace near the hospital because, the ambulance taking too long, and God forbid if something goes wrong in the ambulance, I want to be at the hospital ASAP. So it was a matter of who can get there quicker, my mother or, we just lost YouTube.
We lost YouTube? No, I still see YouTube.
It doesn't say we're on YouTube anymore. It says we're recording.
Oh. Okay. Yep, you're right. It looks like it did freeze. Well, sorry about that, YouTube. I don't know what happened there.
Our bad.
I don't think it's our bad. Zoom is still doing what it's supposed to be doing.
It is our bad. We manifested that.
So you're saying it's all the talk about hospitals, huh?
Blame it on me!
I'm not blaming it on you. I'm not saying what you said.
You saying YouTube just went to the hospital?
No, I said, are you saying that we attracted it based on talking about hospitals?
I don't know how we manifested it. We just did. That's the whole point of manifestation.
Okay. A little passive aggressive to you. No, seriously, I wonder what happened to the live stream. That's really weird.
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Well,
or did I?
We'll put in our request to to YouTube to fix their live stream. In the meantime,
in between time,
people who are listening to the podcast, they're the lucky ones anyway because they get to hear the whole show.
Yeah, but they don't get to see me and my pretty face. Yours too. Yours too.
Thank you very much.
Yours too. By side note, it's okay.
We've definitely gotten into silly mode, no doubt.
We always do when we're by ourselves.
No kidding. Yeah. It's almost like we need to have somebody coming along and say, focus, people, focus.
Right. We need an adult.
Sometimes you just have to let the laughs loose. That's all it is. This is the Daily Dose of Happiness.
We need Louise to just pop in every 10 minutes and go, don't make me pull this car over.
Did she actually say that?
No, but I'm saying she should.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, when we visited the Cape and we met with you, I was wondering, did she?
No, but that would be even funnier if that happened, though.
Oh, okay. Well, it'd be a shock to me because she doesn't usually talk that way, so that's why I was kind of wondering. So 9 minutes left. First of all, we haven't really done all our promos. You did the first part. You did the YouTube promo.
It was abusive promo, I will admit.
Yeah, well, it counts, So let's do the rest of them, which is, okay. And at this point, we're kind of talking to the choir because the only people who can hear us right now are the podcast listeners.
Yes.
But nevertheless, there are probably some people listening to the podcast who have not yet subscribed. So they're the ones we're talking to right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking to you saying, please subscribe. And by the way, all the shows really are different. I mean, compare this one to the one with Louie yesterday or the one with Linda on Friday, and they are entirely different.
Big difference.
Huge difference. But that's part of the fun. That's why people like listening to the show 5 days a week.
Exactly.
And it's so simple to do because we're now on virtually every single podcast platform out there, certainly all the major ones. By the way, I'll tell you about in a moment the conversation I had with a guy at Radio Public.
I was going to say, we also manifested that this week.
We did, yeah. So I'll come back to that in a minute.
Yes.
So if you're not yet a subscriber, you can find us on any of the platforms, but if for whatever reason you cannot find us, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and right at the top you will find instructions on how to subscribe your particular device so you can be a subscriber and receive every single episode as we publish them right here on the LOA Today feed. And if you do, first of all, it takes about a minute. Second of all, it means you get fabulous content, 5 hours of content coming to you every single week that is completely different from all the trash that's out there. Let's be honest.
He said trash.
There really is. There's a lot of trash out there. And by trash, I mean stuff that brings you down.
Yeah.
We're about building you up. And that's what makes the show so different.
And you get me and my sparkling personality twice a week.
Well, that's part of the way we build you up. we demonstrate here by example is what it looks like when you build yourself up. So
lead by example, exactly.
Lead by example, there it is.
Hashtag.
So yes, please do become a subscriber because we really do want to keep increasing the number of people who get their daily doses of happy so that more people can share with other people and so on and so on and so on. We want the world to be a happy place.
Yes, so tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for listening to the promos because we appreciate that too. I had been reminded about 2 months ago that I shouldn't be downplaying the promos, so I'm
no.
So thank you very much for listening to our promos, and thank you for subscribing. And we know you subscribe because the numbers keep going up.
Yep.
Which is a very good thing. Okay, so in the final moments of the show, we got to somehow tie together this insanity that we've been generating here for the last 50 minutes. How do we tie it all together into a nice, neat package?
Well, weren't you just going to tell the story of what else we manifested this week?
Okay, well, that kind of does it by example, I suppose. We received an email from a contact at Radio Public, which is a minor podcast platform, trying to grow into a major one and probably going to make some good progress, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Good progress in that because they're doing a lot of good things in order to promote themselves. But they did something kind of caught me by surprise. And I think it caught you by surprise.
They sure did.
They took the first episode of our new podcast, The Grass is Greener, and featured it on the homepage of their website as a new show. I thought,
we're featured.
How cool is that?
Yep.
And then even better than that, they set up, they invited me to set up an interview with, his name is Jason, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
Jason Ray, I think it is. And I had that conversation with him today.
Cool.
Yeah. It was interesting because he was, no, I'm sorry, I'm confusing days. The last couple of days have been kind of hard for me to keep straight. It was yesterday we had the conversation. But anyway, he basically spent most of the conversation not trying to sell me anything.
Nice.
He spent the conversation trying to find out more about the show and what it is that we're doing and what our goals are and where are we trying to get to and is there anything we can do to help and all that kind. It was a very supportive kind of an interview. So not only did we get named as, one of the hot news shows on their network, but they also came and said, "Hey, we want to help you. How can we help you?" Not, here's what we're going to sell you, but what can we do to help you? That's
right. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very good. It was a nice conversation. I think he was impressed by what we're doing when I described it to him. Mm-hmm. He was also impressed with the very fundamental nature of our marketing plan, which is we want to find out if our target market likes the show before we do anything.
Right.
He's really impressed by that because, of course, he runs into everybody who's starting podcasts. Yeah. In his travels. And the average person, they're all about, well, I got to get more listeners and I just got to spread it on social media and I got to do all my thing to attract more people and so forth. Not remembering that you had a target market in mind. Right. We have a very specific target market. We're trying to basically reach with that particular show, with the Grass Screener, we're trying to reach people in their 20s, mostly women, but people in their 20s, people who are what we might call young millennials. Yep. And we are doing that specifically because they're the people we're kind of talking to in our storyline.
The demographic is actually 18 to 45.
Okay. Where does that come from? I'm curious.
Well, there's different demographics of where you want your audience to be, and mostly like our demographic, what we're aiming towards is not just females, but females, males, any persuasion that you want to, any pronoun you want to use. Between the ages.
I was literally thinking 20s when I was first framing the show in my mind, so that's why I said that. So I'm curious to hear what your frame is.
Well, that's just where the numbers lie. I didn't make up the numbers. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, we can define you don't have to define it based on how some expert defines, what the.
Well, you also don't want to limit it to 20s because there's women in their 30s having the same issues that Nance's having.
Oh, okay. Now, here's where I can help you understand something about marketing that a lot of people don't understand. Ooh. Okay. So, when you're target marketing, what you're really doing is bullseye marketing. Okay. And what you're trying to define is what's in the bullseye. So that the bullseye in this case, I'm saying, is people in their 20s. Okay. If you hit somebody who's in their 30s, they're still on the target. They're just not in the bullseye. So you hit the target.
Okay. See, I know darts. Okay.
That's right. That's what we're talking about is a dart game. Yeah. Got it. It matters where you hit on the target. Mm-hmm. The closer to the bullseye, the more points you get.
Gotcha.
Right? Well.
So we're both right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answers in marketing. There's just clarifications. Yes. And so I explained to him and clarified at least what I thought I wanted to do with it, where I was hoping to go with it. And he liked it. He liked that we were doing what we were doing. He also liked the fact I made a point of saying to him, he said, well, tell me about the marketing map you've laid out. And I said, I haven't laid it out yet. He says, oh. I said, yeah, I don't lay out a map until I know that my target audience is responding.
Yeah, we don't count our chickens before they're hatched.
That's right. Yeah. But you'd be amazed how many people do.
Right. And that's usually where they fail.
That's exactly right.
Or at least their perception of failure because they haven't reached what they thought they were going to.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why people get frustrated when they're trying to deal with marketing because the way they're thinking about it doesn't really work. Right. They end up tripping themselves up essentially.
Yeah, with their expectations. And how do you have expectations if you don't know what's going on?
Exactly. It's funny because very often most people, if you ask them whatever they're marketing, in this case, we're marketing a podcast. Yeah. If you ask them who their target market is, most people can't tell you. Right. If they can tell you, they'll say everyone. Mm-hmm. And simple fact is no one product is going to be appealing to everyone. That's just not the way things work. I mean, there are major television programs and movies that have massive audiences that don't appeal to everyone.
I think Facebook is probably the closest.
there are a whole bunch of people who are really turned off by Facebook. So
That's true. That's true. But that's why I said the closest. But nobody gets 100%.
I mean, if you look at the most popular websites in the world, Facebook's number 2, Google's number 1, and it certainly has its handful of non-fans, people who don't like it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, you can't satisfy everybody. You can't create a product that everybody's going to like. But that's what a lot of people think that they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what most marketing plans are built around, trying to appeal to everybody at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's why it doesn't work.
Exactly. You can't please everybody every day.
So we got good high marks for knowing who our market is and limiting ourselves to, we're going to go after that market.
Yay! We're smart.
And by the way, to the point you made earlier, just because we're going after that market doesn't mean we don't get other listeners too.
Right.
It just means that's what we're targeting.
Yes.
And that's what it's about. So.
Cool.
So with that thought in mind, we are at the end of our hour. You mentioned that you have completed episode 2 of your script writing. You are on writing episode
3. Yes.
It's going to be done pretty soon. Episode 2, last time you and me and PJ looked at it, was in pretty good shape. They just needed a few tweaks, and I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I saw the first part. I love what you did with the replay from the previous episode, the way you cut that down. That was really
good, because I was like, I had myself on a timer, and I was like, delete. I don't know. That was the last thing I did.
You used the blindfold test, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, that one. I was like, no, literally, I was like, this is unnecessary. We don't need to replay the entire episode. That's the whole point of going back and listening to the first episode yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And
catch up.
I like the selections you did make. I mean, you selected about a minute and a minute and a half, something like that, which is good. You know? Well,
thank you.
And the ones you made, they were the main points, I would say.
Right. The stuff that stood out. That's what,
And like any good summary of last time on The Grass is Greener or whatever the show is, a good summary doesn't tell the story. It simply points out what the highlights are to kind of get your taste buds going again.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you did. So good job with that. I look forward to seeing what you wrote at the end, because the end was also the part where we were making some changes. I'm looking forward to reading that part.
Yes.
All of which teases our listeners, because they haven't heard any of it yet. So you're going to have to pay attention and listen to episode 2 when it comes out, which will be very soon.
Yay!
So thank you, Alex. This has been fun. Our first show as officially just you and me doing a show together. That's been
Again.
Yes. Well, we did do it briefly, but have we had it as like a regular schedule? I don't think we've done that, have we?
We did have a regular schedule.
How long did we do that?
It wasn't long. It wasn't long, because it was in between all the others.
That's the way it usually works. Yes.
Because then it went Carlos, then it was us, and then.
Oh, that's right. That was you're right. It was right after Carlos left. You're right.
Then it was what was her name? I don't remember her name, but she was in the UK, and then.
Oh, Kelly.
Kelly, right. Kelly, and then it was us again, and then Bill came along, and now we're back to the factory settings.
Okay. Factory settings. You are in default mode.
We're in beta test mode. That's what we're at.
We're perpetually in a beta test.
Facts.
That's okay, because that's where all the good stuff changes.
Exactly.
So thank you very much. Thank you for bringing up a topic. It was a good topic to talk about, manifestation.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you to live stream listeners for as long as they were able to listen. And, of course, thanks to our wonderful podcast listeners. Without you, we wouldn't have a podcast. We love you so much. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.